everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel, Lessons with Guitar Man. My name's Aaron, and I'll be your designated driver here today for this great song, Whiskey Before Breakfast. Now, this is an awesome tune. Pretty much everybody in the bluegrass world knows this. When I originally learned it, I learned it in the key of open D, and that's the way that I'm going to teach it here. I know a lot of people that I've played with, especially guitar players, have a tendency to play this out of the key of C with the capo on the 2nd fret, which is fine too. Let's go ahead and dive in there and see how this thing works. With Whiskey for Breakfast, the first thing you're going to notice here is that I've written this in 4/4 time. It's in the key of D, and there's not a whole lot going on here other than a whole bunch of eighth notes and quarter notes. There's one little slide in the B section, but other than that, this tune is pretty straightforward. Going on to the first measure here, what you're going to notice is it starts off with 4 eighth notes, and those are going to be as so. We got an open, 2, 4, open, open, 2, 4, open, or down, up, down, up. And the next 2 notes are going to be 2, followed by an open on the D string or the 4th string. And that's 2, down, open on the D, down. So that whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time with the down ups. Down, up, down, up, down, down. Now moving on to measure number 2, we've got a quarter note here on the 2nd fret in the G string. So we got a 2, followed by a 2, open. So you got a 2 for a quarter note, and then 2, open. And I like to hold that A note there, or the 2nd fret on the G string, while I hit that open B note there, and it sounds like, kind of gives it a nice little bell ring type effect thing going on there. First 3 notes are going to be 2, 2, up, or 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And then the last 4 notes of that second measure are going to be 2, open, 4, open, 2, open, 4, open. And that whole measure is going to sound like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. Moving on to the third measure now, what we're going to have here is 2 series of eighth notes tied together. So this whole measure is just going to be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And the notes go open, followed by another open on the B, and then a 2, and then an open. So slowly together, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the next 4 notes of that measure are going to be 4, 2, open, 4. 4, 2, open, 4. That whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now moving on to the 4th measure, we're going to have another string of eighth notes for the whole measure, and this here is going to be like so. 2, 4, 2, open. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And the next 4 notes in the 4th measure are going to be 4, open, 2, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The whole 4th measure is going to sound like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now let's go ahead and play through the first 4 measures of Whiskey Before Breakfast here in the A section. 1, 2, 3, 4. right, now going down to the fifth measure, what we're going to have here is the exact same thing we played in the first measure, so there's nothing new to learn there. Then in the sixth measure, we're going to play the exact same thing there as we played in the second measure, so there's nothing new to learn there. And then again, on the seventh measure, we play the exact same thing as we played in the third measure, so there's nothing new there. However, when we get to the eighth measure here, there is a different lick to tie off the A section, and that goes like so. 2, open, 4, 2. Or down, up, down, up. And the last note's going to be an open D. Then that whole measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's go back and play the entire A section all together and see what that sounds like. So 1, 2, ready, go. So moving on to the B part, measure number 9, what we're going to have here is 2 eighth notes followed by a quarter note and a half note, and that's going to sound like so. So 2, open, 3, 2, open, 3, or down, up, down, okay? And the last note in that measure is also going to be on the 3rd fret on the B string there, and that's going to be a half note, and it's going to be 1, 2. So 1, 2. The 9th measure together is going to sound like 1, 2, ready, go. Or down, up, down, down. The first 4 notes of the 10th measure are going to be 3, open, 2, open, 3, open, 2, open, or down, up, down, up. And the next 4 notes in the 10th measure are going to be 3, open, 2, open, or down, up, down, up. So the 10th measure altogether is going to sound like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now moving on to the 11th measure, what we're going to have here in the very beginning is a slide from 3 to 5, like so. So you're going to go, then hit 5 again, and again. So slide, 5, 5. And then the last 2 notes of that measure are an open and a 2. Open, 2. So the 11th measure altogether is going to sound like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or down, 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 up. On the 12th measure here, we're going to have 2 more strings of 8 notes, and the first 4 notes are 3, 2, open, 3. Down, up, down, up. Or 3, 2, open, 3. And the next 4 notes of that measure are going to be 2, 2, open, 2. So you're going to have 2, 2, open, 2. That whole 12th measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So moving on to the 13th measure now, what we're going to have here is another string of 2 sets of 8th notes, and the first 4 notes in the 13th measure are going to be 3, 2, open, 3, or down, up, down, up. And the next 4 notes in the 13th measure are going to be 2, open, 3, 2, down, up, down, up, 2, open, 3, 2. And that whole 13th measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, now moving on to the 14th measure, we got 2 more strings of 8th notes again here, and those are going to be as follows. So measure number 14, the first 4 notes are open, 3, 2, open, or down, up, down, up. And the next 4 notes in the 14th measure are going to be 2, open, 4, open, or down, up, down, up. So that whole 14th measure together is going to sound like so. So the 15th measure here is going to have another 2 sets of 8th notes strung together, and the first 4 notes are going to be open, 4, 2, open, or down, up, down, up. And the next 4 notes are going to be down, up, down, up, 4, 2, open, 4. And that whole 15th measure together is going to sound like so. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Moving on to the last measure, number 16, we have 2, open, 4, 2, or down, up, down, up, followed by an open D. So that's down, up, down, up, down. So let's go ahead and play through the B section slowly one time. 1, 2, ready, go. So let's go ahead and play Whiskey Before Breakfast now, both parts all together, and that'll be a wrap on this tune. 1, 2, you know what to do. Alright, well that's a wrap on this tune. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. If you have any questions for me, feel free to send me an email in the description listed below. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll be seeing you down the road.